who wants to give us a little bit of a recap? Because it's been a hot second. Where are we? What are we doing?
We're about to fucking die. So
and or lose ship.
Yeah. And or lose ship. So we were able to get some more info previously on all the different factions and stuff from Blastimov. Ori and Blastimov did have a little chit chat about the conversation. Ori is now looking for tea on Booker.
Mhm.
We have our Ladybug drip. We have landed at the arena, and we have, through a mixture of luck, bad choices, and charisma, gotten into the arena via making a deal with Vokath that I think boils down to, if we win, we get an audience with him and the other faction leaders, on top of just winning. If we lose, we'll first of all probably die, and if we don't die, we'll lose the ship.
Yeah,
Like that.
I love this.
If you
Yeah.
lose, Vokath gets the Lady Luck.
Mm-hmm.
Because Vokath likes to have the stranglehold on the spelljamming helms and ships.
Mm-hmm. And look at my end of session notes. Reminder of who we do and do not kill. I'm guessing not including this first fight, because of what Z said and how we handle the fights. Well, sorry, again?
Yeah, you'll get a little bit, should you want to. Again, it's very much up to what Finn finds out in between and reports back to y'all and what you guys choose to do in between your fights.
Mm-hmm.
You could get better ideas of who is connected to whom and how and why.
Right. And between fights, there's going to be a little locker room off to the side. And technically, we can leave, but we need to be back in the arena on time when our fight starts, or else we forfeit our lives to the opponent. So we probably just shouldn't leave. Finn will be doing the Lord's work. And providing snackies.
Yes, Finn is going to be able to cook and bring y'all some of his patented healing items. And Finn can also just fuck off and go shopping if he wants, because there are stalls of magic items and things for sale around the arena.
Are there rules against throwing things into the arena after a match has started?
I mean, are there rules for throwing things into the arena during a match? Can we just let's start there. Why not, right?
There is a healthy portion of like jeering and like popcorn throwing that does happen. However, and I will
Some
show
tomatoes.
you this so that you guys can see and conceptualize a little bit more. I'm not done putting a whole bunch of tokens on the map yet, but this is going to be your arena fight page.
Oh, he's doing that.
And you can see if I drag a Booker onto this, because Booker's the first one in the player characters, the size of Booker versus the size of the arena. Finn, if you threw with all of your might, and Finn, let's just say you're right over here because this is the side that is next to Lady Luck. If you threw with all your might because of how high the stands are and everything, you wouldn't even be able to clear the rock with your food.
Bet. Look behind the rocks, y'all.
So you'd be essentially
There's gonna
dropping
be a pile of pastries.
Yellow crunch, yeah. And so you throwing
Like
stuff
hamsters.
in would not necessarily like break any rules. However, if the arena sees that people are diving for things that are being thrown into the arena, and it makes people particularly mad, there is a possibility of just them deciding, you know what, you want to help in the arena? Fucking go help and yeeting you into the arena.
Surreptitiously throw pies in.
What if, right? Cody, how good is Finn's charisma?
One of the best stats.
So what if
Mhm.
this little basket that they have, because that they're, gonna sell or whatever, and it just happens to tip over?
Oh no, my goodies!
Oh no!
Yeah, just once a fight, you're just the accidental like Butterfingers. Oh no.
I had a big one for every time I drop these pies.
So I mean, you can try, and you might be able to get away with it for a while, but again, be cognizant of what's going on around you.
All right.
The reactions of the people around you.
Boo, y'all suck. Yeet. Oh man, I wish that you could just like infuse a tomato with like healing and just yeet it at us as if we suck.
That would be amusing. But yeah, so you can see kind of the size of shit that you're working with here.
Mm-hmm.
What's your strength, Finn?
Wouldn't you like to know?
For the
stat.
purposes of knowing how far you can chuck a pie, I'm curious.
Oh, that could use Dex.
Also,
You
one
can
of my
also
worst
see
stats.
Dex.
Okay, understood.
Oh, okay. No winners here, huh?
I'm gonna tell you
Not
straight
for that.
up, like the best Finn is gonna be able to do, considering all things about Finn, is like maybe 5 foot away from the wall to the stands. That's if it survives. Because depending on what he throws, that's a pretty big drop down into the arena.
Okay, after this, we're hitting the gym. And then Booker.
Let me just get them a little slingshot.
That is not a bad plan, actually. Putting like a pie in a
Wait a
slingshot like a
minute.
cartoon character.
It's funny you say that because. Hang on, I gotta check this. Did I do this?
Oh. I made a
Aha!
baby breath.
Finn has a ladle that can be used to throw things 30 feet.
Oh, like you're gonna do the thing where you hold it out at the end of your arm and like bend it backwards in like a catapult.
Yes.
Amazing.
Oh, that's incredible.
This is one of those moments where you have to appreciate D&D, because I have set up a campaign that is like world-ending gods, and you guys are in the arena of blood, and yet we're talking about this type of bullshit.
If it works, it works.
The dichotomy of D&D.
We're laughing because we're gonna start crying later.
That's right, we're super stressed, so it's either laugh or cry. And
Hey, listen, speak for yourselves. I'm going in this with an ego that Booker has. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna win. No death, only victory.
All right, fair enough.
But let me check this.
I will say the only thing I think I have a little bit of, I wouldn't call it anxiety. I think as a prediction, I do see Finn getting chucked into the arena with us.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood that it doesn't happen, I hope.
Yeah, that it doesn't happen.
He may not survive the fall.
Oh no.
Yeah, how high up is the arena from like the stands, or the stands from the arena?
This is a good 35, 40 feet.
Okay, not too bad.
Survive. You might be hurting, but you'll survive.
It's a good at least 3d6 damage, fall damage.
Yeah.
Just don't land on your neck.
I'll do that.
You're a halfling, right?
Yes.
You'll be fine.
Halfling. The terminal velocity of a halfling is always non-lethal, like a cat.
Where did you read this?
It's like a squirrel.
Somewhere on the internet.
Yeah.
I think you're mixing up a few fantasy races there. But yes, you guys are in Doom space and are trying to recruit a fleet/army to go deal with the Zarshin Empire. And have discovered that in order to do so, you have to find a way to get the agreements of multiple warring factions and probably either the blessings of, or at the very least, the indifference of Vokath the Mercane, who Trixie and Button and Micken have a very
Beef.
particular history with.
Button has beef.
You guys were all flashed from the throne room in which you cut a deal down into essentially locker rooms. They are stone rooms with benches and places where you can kind of tap a stone and magic starts to pour water out into a basin for sinks, and places to clean yourself up and use first aid. And you can hear other teams out the door and down the hallway also setting up and talking and chatting amongst each other. And while you guys are getting your bearings again and kind of like, okay, we just got teleported into the throne room and then teleported fucking down here, and what the hell's going on? We will flash back to Finn. You are amongst your own little ragtag group of interesting individuals. Those that decided they did not want to participate in the tournament if they could help it. Didn't necessarily want to be in front of Vokath, or perhaps were told they couldn't be in front of Vokath just yet. And didn't want to stay on the ship. You walked your way up the dock and find yourself on the pathways surrounding the outside of the arena, and you see tucked into the walls under the stadium seating, you see various little booths, little shops that are set up. Some look a little more official than others. You hear people yelling, hawking some wares, and as you look towards your left, you see that most of the people in that direction are Hadozi. And towards your right, most of the individuals in that direction are Artuks. The same plant-like starfish people that had the rest of your crew running and killed most of your former crew. And at each corner is posted a very large GIF guard in full plate armor, each inscribed with the mark of Vokath on their chest and on their gauntlets. There's some trickling of people kind of walking around and going to other sections of the arena and intermingling, though you notice that there's not a lot of conversation that is happening amongst the races that you were informed of and learned in your time in Doom Space. were the primary races, which, refresh the memory. The main factions, the factions are split between races for the most part, though there are some kind of carryovers and like humans and elves that are mixed in the factions. But the primary factions are the Aarakocra faction, the Artuk faction, the Hadozi, the Surin, which is a type of lizard folk, and the Three Kree. Most of the people you see doing the mingling and kind of crossing the borders between the various edges of the arena seem to be the handful of human and elf, and you swear you saw another halfling for a hot second, but they kind of disappeared in the crowd.
Mission acquired.
So what are you doing?
Sorry, remind me, who is this person?
Hmm?
This person?
That is Jadali. She is the princess of the Zarshian Empire. However, she was kind of chased out by her twin brother. And so there's essentially a beef going on between the two of them over who controls and who gets to say what the Zarshian Empire does. And so,
Okay.
at least at the moment, she is a enemy of my enemy is my friend type companion who says she has important information on how to deal with her brother in the Empire once you actually get to the Citadel.
And what are Micken and I don't remember which of the two GIF this is. Is this my former?
No, that's Crux.
Okay. What are Micken and Crux doing right now?
Your captain has decided that he is a little bloodthirsty and wants to go into the arena.
Oh God.
So you are stuck with Crux. Micken you can very clearly see on Micken's face just the war of curiosity versus cowardice, essentially. See him awed by this very clearly ancient place that you guys are on. And just the culture and the hubbub of a essentially thriving market / cultural touchstone. However, he is not moving in any particular direction. He is sticking with the group. You can see his hands fidgeting. He's kind of in that mindset of this is interesting. It is not scary yet. However, I do not want to be lost here. Crux is kind of looking around. You can see he's a little bit more calculated with it. And he seems in particular to kind of be sizing up the other GIF, the guards that are posted on each corner. And that's not out of character for a GIF. GIF tend to be attracted to the heavy armor and the gunnery and metalwork, more or less, and weaponry. He seems to be sizing that up. Jadali is hanging to the back. She, despite Crux being a large GIF, as you don't think you've ever seen a small GIF, even the once or twice you have seen a GIF child, they're about 2 or 3 times your size, Finn. Jadali still stands a little taller, thin and wispy. And she's just kind of looking over your group and then looking around. You can see that she's taking it in, but she, between the pinprick gold eyes and a very carefully constructed and maintained kind of disinterested mask that she wears, it's hard to tell what she is doing, what she is thinking, beyond just taking everything in.
All right, all right, all right. I think after Finn has like looked around, seen what you described, he's gonna like lean over to Micken and like talk out of the corner of his mouth. Well, I think I'm gonna go hit the shops, see what information I can't drum up. Care to join me?
And Micken kind of looks towards you and looks, and you see him scan the shops a little bit, or at least the shops that you can see a little bit more closely. He nods. That probably is a good idea. I don't. Are we actually gonna buy anything though?
Well, I suppose that depends on what we find.
He nods. And then you see him kind of look nervously over his shoulder towards the Arctic section. Are we going to... And he just kind of gestures with one thumb really quickly towards them.
Nah, I'd rather not.
He nods extremely quickly. Yeah, okay.
Finn will grab his forearm and start walking. So are the shops like on this like outskirt area, or are they underneath the seating?
So, the ones that seem to be a little bit more formal, and you would very quickly be able to ascertain that these are probably shops that either are in partnership with or approved of by Vocath, are under the seating. However,
Okay.
there are some that seem to be just like shops and like little merchants and vendors from the ships that are here that have set up little stands of wood, or even just a very simple like sitting on the ground when they have some open space and like setting out a blanket and a couple of goods are on them. And there's a whole bunch of different types of shops. Most of the ones that are under the that are under the seating seem to be food. Though you do hear the bellows, though you can't see the shop yet, but the bellows of somebody like trying to hawk some attention their way, advertising magical items. And there's one or two potion vendors under the stands.
Okay. So the blankets that's like up here, where people are just kind of sprawled about. I can only see like parts of it. Okay. So yeah. He'll grab Booker by the arm and start leading him over here towards the Hadozi, and call out over his shoulder, "Back in a while, boss."
Crux just kind of like turns and looks towards Finn, and then looks over his shoulder towards the gift that he was staring again, and he just shakes his head. I think I'm coming with you. I don't want to be standing here with those creeps staring.
The more, the merrier.
You guys start to work your way this way. And as you kind of turn the corner a little bit more, you can see that there is a ton of activity back and forth from the docks into the stands and stopping at the shops on this side of the arena. And it's not hard to believe or understand why, as the space galleon ship that seems to be controlled by the Hadozi is by far the largest ship that is currently docked here. And it is swarming with activity. And as you turn the corner, you are able to see on the side of the ship. Let me double check this. Where is it? Yes, you see that the space galleon has the name Tarask scrawled on the side.
Would Finn know what a Tarask is?
Yes.
Okay. And are the torch symbols torches or?
That's just lights.
Oh, okay.
That's me providing lighting.
Gotcha. Okay. Gonna just go until like the first blanket shop vendor.
Okay. Let me see. You see that as you're kind of mingling amongst the Hadozi, there's a handful of humans that are mixed in amongst them. And overall, the Hadozi are, from what you can tell, only a very few of them are actually armed. The few that are armed seem to be carrying various types of swords and cutlasses that every single one of them, the hilts are odd looking. If you'd like, you can roll a nature or an investigation. You want to find out more about the weapons. But the Hadozi themselves and the humans that are amongst them all seem to be kind of dressed pretty plainly. They're not over the top. They're not like jeweled out. They don't seem to have any type of jewelry or ornamentation. Uh, they just seem to be all dressed very simply as you would expect a essentially basic ass sailor to be dressed. And with a 6, the hilts, they're not metal, they're not wood from what you can tell. They all seem to be kind of various shades of white and yellow, but you can't quite place without getting a closer look what the material itself is.
Okay.
And as you get to the first little blanket merchant, you see that it's a Hidozi that is pretty aged, has more than a few wrinkles on their face, and you can even see some of the fur around the edges of their face starting to gray just a little bit. Not so much that you would call this an old man, but older. And he's got his legs crossed in a very simple kind of checkered blanket laid in front of him. And you see that there's a handful of items. You'd assume the boxes that he is kind of sitting on and are sat up behind him probably have more of these items. But you can see that there's a handful of potions. You can see there's a handful of knives. Um, all of the knives look like they are made with the same type of strange material. Um, you can see there's a couple of pieces of clothing and sashes and such, and you quickly realize that that's the only type of ornamentation you've seen amongst these is one or two Hidozi kind of walking by with a sash that goes from their shoulder across their torso. You figure that might be culturally for them what is acceptable to wear for ornamentation on top of their everyday wear. And then you see a handful of, let me check this, little small boxes that aren't opened, but the largest one is only about 4 inches by 4 inches.
Right. What do we have here? Starts inspecting potions.
And the Hidozi kind of looks up to you, and there's a slight nod. And you can see there's not a really strong reaction to you suddenly interacting with him, just, again, polite. Well, afternoon, evening, what have you. Guess it really depends on how long you've been up and sailing to get here. These are just a few wares that I've managed to scrounge up to bring here. And a few wares that I am allowed to sell with Vocal's shops going.
And I'll put down the potions and start looking at the sashes. Now these are really great quality.
They do seem to be made of pretty heavy-duty material. They aren't necessarily luxurious to the touch, but you've been on ships and been in hard-working areas and lifestyles enough that you know that they aren't going to wear and tear much. And they all seem to be just dyed in very deep, rich colors, deep navies and maroons and such like that, though there is no further ornamentation on them that you can tell. As far as the potions, you did see that there's a handful of healing potions. It's a handful of potions of, like, you saw one potion of tongues, so you can speak other languages. And then you see that there's a handful of, not quite potions, but what is relatively common amongst spelljamming ships or places that have spelljamming ships that frequent them. Things called bottled air. Depending on the price and the size, they're bottles that you can open up and it releases highly pressurized clean air to help give yourself a little bit more breathable air on a spelljamming ship. At least a couple of days. Some higher quality can be a little bit longer, but they're emergency provisions, more or less.
Does Finn get the sense for the sashes that like looking around, is it only Hajozi wearing them, or is it more like an is it appropriation or appreciation?
You see that. What's your passive perception?
Perception, I want to say 14. Let me check. Yes, 14.
Yeah. So you've seen mostly Hadozi. You've seen one elf and one human wearing it. You get more of an idea that it is a mark of rank or importance amongst the Hadozi, rather than it being kind of a risk of cultural appropriation. Perhaps officers or like the doctor of the ship or something like that gets a sash which more stuff can be put on. But the sash is what you put the fancy shit on.
Gotcha. And what kind of bank am I working with here?
I believe Booker is the current bank.
And did you take all that gold down there with you, or?
Joe.
Joseph?
Hello? Is it
Hi.
working now? Okay.
Yes.
Great. I don't know why I was picking up. Yes. So Booker does have all the cash, but I think before any fighting would start, he would be smart enough to give the purse to someone who's not in the ring, because at the very least he doesn't want it to get stabbed and then throw money all over the arena and look like an absolute buffoon who's donating when he doesn't want to donate any of our money.
Yo, Sonic.
Booker used payday.
No. But if you need cash money, we have on tap right now 1,158 gold.
And we can say that it was handed over to Micken.
Yeah.
Does it make sense? I think because if Booker dies, the money is going to go to someone else.
Yes.
Whoever killed him. And also, if it's on the ship, it'll go to Vilcath.
Better yet, Booker would not give it to just one, but he wouldn't just hand it to Mick and be like, "You're responsible for this now." He would hand it to Mick and Finn and be like, "You're both responsible for this. You both
that
have
was a
joint
mistake.
custody of the wallet. If one of you decides to do something inappropriate, then the other one is left to make sure that they don't get away with it."
Finn will hold up 2 differently colored sashes. Look at the older Hadozi. Now, which one of these best fits my hair?
And the Hidozi just kind of like squints at you first, seemingly studying your face and trying to get what you would assume a vibe off of you. How genuine is Finn being in the moment?
I would give it like an 85%. Like more genuine than not. There is maybe like a slight ulterior motive in the interest, but also genuinely is curious.
The Hidozi just kind of nods after a moment and looks between the sashes. And he will kind of scrunch up his nose and shake his head. And you see him turn towards one of the boxes behind him and start rifling through it. You coming in on a Spelljammer?
Finn will nod.
What exactly are you doing on it?
Well, spelljamming.
And you get this, like, his head turns and he looks at you and you get the very clear no shit expression.
Oh, he's asking like specifically what is Finn doing like while on the ship?
Yes, like, what is your job?
Gotcha. I'm the ship's cook.
And he nods slightly, and you see him look back towards the box and start rifling through again. He starts digging deeper and deeper. And he pulls out what looks like almost this terracotta brown sash that again is made of that same heavy duty material, and holds it up towards you. Not often you get a cook or a chef that wants one of these, but this would be what you'd want. Because I'm assuming, looking at you, he kind of like looks you up and down, head to toe, and gestures towards one of them that you have in your hand. That you are not going to be shooting cannons.
No. Not I.
And he offers the sash towards you.
And how much will this and that potion cost me? And pointing at the potion of tongues.
Okay, let me see this. Well, considering the fact that that's just about the only chef one that I have. 20 gold.
I mean, there's unlikely to be another chef here. What about 15?
Roll me persuasion.
Did it roll? No. Oh, it's. Oh, okay. I see why. How's that?
And he just kind of like looks around. You can see him doing the mental math essentially. And he finally nods. 15 will do.
Before the exchange of money, Finn will look over his shoulder, remembering that Nicken is also there. Oh, sorry. Would you like one as well?
And Micken just blinks at you, and then there's a slight shake of the head. I don't have a specific job, so I'm going to say no.
Finn will nod and fork over 15 gold.
As you hand him the gold, the Dozy actually stands up, and you can see the like pause and groan as he like unfolds himself fully, and kind of steps carefully across the blanket, kind of straddling it, so he leans forward and puts the sash on you and actually takes the time to like try and adjust it towards your size. It's not perfect by any means, but it's better than if it had just been dropped on your shoulder and no adjustment had been made.
Well, thank you.
There's a little kind of bob of the head as he sits back down. I have to say you're a little bit on the strange side for being here. Don't see much of your kind around.
I take that as a compliment.
He tilts his head. Your crew that desperate for a taste of the arena or something?
Looks around. Most of them. Say, any pointers on how I can get them some support?
Well, as long as you're not planning on taking any magic items that's gonna blow the place up. He just kind of like gestures towards one of the nearby guards. Talk to them and they can head you down to the competitors' quarters. Can trade off any items that you might need for them, including some healing, as long as it's in between matches. Other than that, he just kind of see him like head tilt to the side and he thinks. Tell them if they go up against the queen, then they might as well quit because she hasn't lost in probably the last 3 tournaments.
This queen, who is
Vocal's
she?
pet.
Hmm. Where
And
was that?
he said Vocal's pet.
No, no, no. I was looking to see. Okay, okay. We're not up against the queen yet.
And you can see him kind of like studying you and then studying Micken beside you. Y'all don't really know a whole bunch about this, do you?
First time.
And they're just shaking the head. And he kind of looks past and watches a few of the other Haduzi walk by before he looks back towards you. Oh. You want a little bit of advice on your competitors?
He'll lean in, look to
He
both
holds out
sides.
a hand first.
Hmm. Hmm. Can Finn get a sense of how much would appease him?
Considering his general state, it wouldn't be much. A few gold pieces.
Hmm. Finn will give him 3.
Okay. He takes the 3 and kind of weighs them in his hand for a second before he nods. And he motions towards a sign that hangs over one of the stairwells up into the stands. And it seems to be a sign that is magically changing and shifting, announcing various team names. Are you ready for the notes, Amy, Cody?
Hold. Hold on.
Amy.
Give me a second. I need to get my
Need to get my story straight.
All right. Oh, fuck. My shoulder just cracked. I'm ready.
Okay. So he motions towards the sign and essentially will break down. I'm not going to do this all in characters so that make sure that I have communicated it as clearly and directly as possible.
Appreciated.
He breaks down that in total, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8. There seem to be 9 groups altogether. There's 16 competitors, but 9 groups that represent 9 different interests within the arena right now. So there's your group, Lady Luck. Vokath has 3 teams in that are his teams, including the Queen as one of them. There's 2 for each of the 5 factions. So 2 for the Hadozi, for the Aarakocra, for the 3 Kreen, etc. And then there's 2 other independent groups that have entered in. One being Rella's Giants, and the other one being Ulva's Crusaders, which is who the Lady Lucks are against. And he will additionally tell you that the 3 that are Vokath's pets, or associated with Vokath, are Queen Gorma, Thrasher and Gnasher, and Brutus.
And so, like, some of these are singular people, and are those singular people like fighting the entire party?
Some of them are, but
Oh God.
people might be a generous term for some of them.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense, what I have told you?
I think so. Amy, did you get all that?
I believe so. I mean, it was pretty much just this, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Question.
Hmm.
What does it mean for Vokath to have a team? Like, is it a team that he likes, or is it a team that, like, no matter if they win or lose, if they survive, they're always going to be like in the gauntlet? Or like, what does it mean to be Vokath's team?
For some of it, it's just he has something or somebody strong that he wants to see fight. Some of it is he wants to directly challenge other teams. Some of it is just straight up fucking pride. He's the owner of the arena. Why shouldn't he have people fighting in it?
Okay,
It's a bit of a lot of things. And it
gotcha.
depends on which of the three teams you're talking about. So the Hidozi kind of lays out as much of that as he can while you're watching the names of the various teams shift and change on the sign. And he looks back towards you, Finn, and just kind of jerks his head towards the arena. I'm gonna assume, since you don't know much about it, you're not from one of the factions or clans. So that means either you're here by chance or you're one of the other three.
You hit the nail right on the head.
Well, good luck.
And
Even if you
well,
win, if you kill the wrong one, you're probably gonna want to skedaddle fast.
okay, wait. What was that? One more time?
Even if you win, if you kill the wrong one, you're probably gonna want to get out.
Okay, so sorry. I know that I missed the majority of last session, so some of this may have already explained. But so when there is a matchup,
Hmm.
the party can choose to kill or not to kill, and so they can win even if they don't kill, or do they have to kill to win?
Yes, they can. So it depends. So
Oh gosh.
the tournament, you can they can the party can choose not to kill. Period. If they don't want to. However, that does not mean that the opponents are not going to try and kill.
Hmm.
And there are a handful of these opponents that, should you come up against them, they might offer alternative types of fighting, essentially. So rather than big group versus big group, they might say, okay, well, we're still hurt, you're still hurt. Let's just send our two best fighters out to give ourselves more time to recuperate. So it's a 1v1.
Oh, so
Or
we can.
they might come out and say, or the your group as players, you can also make these offers on occasion, um, saying, maybe it's a series of 1v1s rather than just a group battle. So, yes, as a group, as like your characters, none of you have to kill if you do not want to. I will need that context from you guys beforehand because I'm going to assume that you're trying to kill them. But that does not mean that your enemies are not trying to kill you. And then if it's something other than a group battle that is happening, there is an assumption that you are probably going to discuss that with the enemy team as to what the expectation is.
But they have to toggle non-lethal.
Yes.
Got it.
Because there are some of these teams that don't necessarily want to kill anybody, they just want to get to the top for the various benefits of being the winner. There are some that are out for blood because that's just who they are.
Say, which ones are the wrong ones?
And there's a kind of tilt of the head side to side. You see him kind of looking around, kind of weighing the question. Oh, let me double check this really fast before I tell you something wrong. What I understand, Cerns are pretty slow to forgive a grudge. Might want to think twice about killing one of their favorites.
Was that the lizard people?
Yes, the lizard folk.
Okay.
And could be a bit of a toss-up whether or not the Artuks are going to be happy with you. One hand, they might think it's rather impressive that you managed to kill one of them. On the other hand, well, let's just say they're probably the most aggressive faction in the galaxy right now, so guess you can roll the dice if you really want to.
I'd rather not. But thank you, though. That was very insightful.
He nods. My advice, keep your head down and keep your ship primed and ready to leave. He just kind of like leans back against the boxes that he is sitting against.
Finn will tip his hat and continue on. Are there, like, about how many of these kinds of vendors are up here?
Uh, just above table, so there's 5 sides that have ships that are not the Lady Luck.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be 1 or 2 blanket vendors on each side, and then there's 1 or 2 official vendor under the stands per side.
Under. Okay.
But I will
So,
say for each of those like official vendors, essentially one of them is going to always be the same because that's going to be your like essentially your food stall.
mhm.
The other one, if there is another one, that one would be the different one.
Okay. So then Finn is gonna continue on, walking through the Hodozi side to the Saran side, uh, walking a little, not slow, but like definitely a walk, trying to like kind of not puff out his chest, but like reveal the sash as he's walking.
You can see that the Hadozi, there's a few eyes that drift in your direction as you're kind of weaving through the crowd. And there's a handful of Hadozi that kind of look you up and down. You can see the eyes linger on the sash. And there's 1 or 2 nods. They seem to recognize that you have been appropriately sashed, appropriately ranked. And you even get kind of a whistle from a human that passes by and just kind of looks at you and like points in your direction with a friendly smile. You can hear as he is passing by, "Sup, cook?" And just keeps going on his way. as you turn the next corner, you see the next side does have the sirens on it, and it is sparse. Where there was all of this hustle and bustle with the Hadozi coming and going and lingering and chatting and just it being lively. There are a third of the number of people on this side. And
Are there non-Surans?
you see one gnome that is in the midst of a group of Surans talking very animatedly towards them. And you do see that the official food stall under the Surin stands is manned by an elf. But all the rest of them are Surins. They're all... I'll show you a picture. Give me a second.
While you're pulling that up, is the gnome speaking common?
Seems to be almost a pigeon language. Some combination of common and a language you can't quite place.
Mm.
It's a lot of hissing and kind of long sounds that you assume would be the language that these Surans most often talk in. How do you spell this again? Okay. That's why I'm not finding what I need. This is what most of the Surans look like. Though there's a few that do have more appropriate, I guess you would call, more common pants. Most of them do just have various types of loincloth on, it seems. And several of them have, like, almost bandoliers of items and weapons and such that they have across their chest, or even belts that are just hanging with potions and things. But the kind of hard, scaly hide that kind of seems to cover like 99% of their body from what you can tell. They don't seem to be in any rush to keep it covered. And you notice very quickly that, though, again, much like the Hadozi, there's not a lot of ornamentation. Almost all of them have some degree of handmade claws, either on their hands or on their feet, that extend them into almost talon-like weapons. And some of them seem to be pretty basic. Some of them are extremely ornate, and you even see one that you would assume to be an officer on the ship or somebody of import to the group that seems to be dipped in gold.
Ooh.
And he walks by, both hands covered in these claws. And you see on the dock is the wasp ship, painted in a kind of fading yellow color. And written on the side, you see the name Gadabout.
Gadabout?
Yes.
Okay. I think Finn would want to get closer to the group where the gnome is talking and try to ascertain what the gnome is saying about.
So are you you trying to be, like, subtle about it, or are you just walking right over?
I mean, Finn's definitely not announcing themselves, but not also hiding either. Like, not trying to be inconspicuous. Just walking, listening.
And as you approach, you're only getting probably 60, maybe 70% of what the gnome is saying. And the gnome and the 3 Surins that seem to be around him are listening and interacting in the conversation. They seem to be discussing something broken on the gadabout, something in need of repair, and something that the gnome seems to be very insistent that they don't have the means to be able to fix. And it seems to be some sort of point of frustration between the gnome and one of the lizard folk in particular. Of the lizard folk insisting that it needs to be fixed, and the gnome being like, I don't have what I need to fix it.
But can't fuck it. Finn will just interject. What seems to be the problem here?
The gnome kind of blinks owlishly at you as they turn and look in your direction. And the Sarans also look in your direction, though there seems to be more confusion amongst them. And from the conversation, you realize that they probably only speak like a little bit of common. There's probably some sort of language barrier, which might be part of the reason why the gnome was speaking in that kind of pidgin halfway between common and what you would assume to be the Surin language. And the gnome just kind of shakes his head slightly. You can see the surprise kind of fade into a little bit of suspicion. Oh, nothing. Not anything that I haven't dealt with before. He just kind of like waves his hands in the air.
All right then. Thought maybe I could help. Good day to you.
So Finn just turn and walk away.
I mean, keeps walking straight, I guess, like around or through them.
There's a silence as you walk by, and the rest of your group kind of trails along behind. And there's a beat of silence to hear behind you before you assume one of the Surins behind you turns towards the gnome and asks a question. And you only know it's a question because of like the little upturn on the last syllable. And the gnome just, there's kind of a scoff that you can hear, and they respond, but they are pointedly speaking quiet enough that you can't quite pick up what he says.
Just called Finn a slur. Enjoy your broken ship.
You keep walking. Anything else you want to do on this side?
I don't think so. I'm trying to be very conservative with the potion of tongues, so we'll come back to them later.
As you turn another corner, so I'm assuming you just want to work your way around.
Yep.
You see another absolutely bustling side of the arena. This one packed with 3 Kreens of various sizes and shapes. Some barely taller and broader than you, Finn. Some rivaling Crux in their size and in their kind of hunched over shell-like demeanor. They seem to be ranging, if you would guess, all types of insectoid backgrounds, all the way from ant to beetle. And there is less noise here. And you very quickly remember, most 3 Kreens speak telepathically. So they are directing their conversation to who they want to talk to and not really anybody else. And on this side, you don't see any non-3 Kreen at all. There's only the interactions between a couple of 3 Kreen and the guard on the far side that seems to be making any noise beyond just moving around and the sizzle of food in the food stall. And just the back and forth buzz of people coming and going from the ship. What you see alongside the dock, it's a massive scorpion ship made of what looks to be mostly metal on the hull, which is surprising. Very few spelljamming ships are made like that. They are heavy and hard to maneuver. And alongside one of the claws for the scorpion ship, you see the name Vrusk. Vrusk.
And now that is a direct name of one of the entrants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You've seen 2 now, because the Trask's Pride was another name.
Mm-hmm. Oh, was that the full name on the ship, or was it just Tarask?
It was just Trask, but
Okay. But Tarask's Pride.
yeah.
Okay.
You would assume Trask Pride is probably Hadozi. You'd assume Vrusk Colony is probably 3 Kreen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And is there like a vendor type merchant here?
Yeah, you see a few of the smaller 3 Kreen have set up a what looks to be very quickly thrown together wooden stall. That's a couple of baskets and boxes that they have put together kind of with 2x4s really quickly nailed together so they stand up a few feet off the ground. And these 3 Kreen are probably about a half foot taller than Finn. Probably as tall as Finn's chef hat. And are essentially walking back and forth on a couple of overturned crates behind their stand so that they can see over the top of their stand. They seem to be more ant-like in shape.
Okay. We'll approach. I don't recall. Can a non-3 Kreen initiate their telepathic communication, or do they have to be the one to
If you
like?
have telepathy, you can initiate something, but they have to be the one to initially. Like they
Gotcha.
understand, they would
Mm-hmm.
understand speech. It's just that not all 3 Kreen have the capability of speaking.
Okay. Okay. Uh, we'll approach their stall and eye the baskets. I'd like to see your wares.
And you tell them that you'd like to see their wares, and see one stops and kind of looks at you at first, and then there is a little twitch of his antenna, and the other 2 immediately stop and turn around and look. And they kind of study your group for a second before you all 4 people in the group get that little tap on the front of your brain that comes before a polite telepathic entrant. You just get this very quiet little voice. You can't tell which one of the three it's from, but you just get one. I don't think I've seen you before. What are you?
Was that where are you?
What are you?
Oh, uh, is it? I don't know if Finn would know this. Would the custom be after they start telepathy that the person continues that way, or that there's like
Depends.
one?
Depends. I've seen it both ways.
Mhm.
So it would be up to Finn on to how he would like to proceed.
Finn will continue talking out loud. Uh, Me? I'm a cook.
Cook, cook. Wait, cook. And you just hear that going back and forth, three different voices now, saying that back towards one another. And they are all turning towards each other, and you see there's some sort of excitement. And then one leans forward over the crates towards you. What do you cook?
Well, I think what don't I cook is a shorter list. Stews, soups, mutton and chops.
Bread? Meat?
Nods. Of course.
Again, there's excitement. Do you have bread meat?
Uh, hmm. I don't remember if I said this, so I understand if it's a no. But could Finn, or maybe I did say it, have like jerkified the bullet steaks?
Yeah, you could have jerkified a couple of them.
Okay. Finn will pull just one out to start. Like this?
Again, there's the chittering and clacking of excitement before one reaches out as if to snatch it and like stops halfway, realizing what he's doing, and stares at you, hand outstretched, still like he's about to snatch it.
Perhaps we can come to an agreement. And Finn will start eyeing the baskets.
In the baskets, you see seems to be a handful of materials, different metals and stones, and even a few uncut gems. Nothing of particularly high quality, but various materials. You also see, check this really fast. See what looks to be some sort of mechanical centipede that's about the size of your hand, curled up inside a little glass sphere. And also a few other boxes that when you open them seem to have various types of mechanical goodies inside. Very tiny, very intricate pieces of workmanship. I can give you more information about them if you want.
When you say mechanical goodies, like, are these like already put together bits like baubles, or are
Yes.
they more like bits and bobs?
Yes, they are already put together that seem to have some purpose to them.
Okay, tell me about some of them.
One, as you open it, you can see that there's gnomish writing on it. Does Finn speak gnomish?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay. So, there's some sort of gnomish writing on it you can't quite place. You do sense that there's magic in it of some sort. Um, Another one seems to be, rather interestingly, because it's being sold by Three Creen, a box that has a set of 3 very clear earpieces. They look like cuffs that would go over and around an ear, a human ear, in fact, that have some sort of mechanical attachment to that, though you're not quite sure what it does. And then you also see a almost looks like, you know, like the big like hair claw clips.
Hmm.
That, but completely metal with very sharp prongs on it. And it's attached to a box of some sort that's about 2 or 3 inches square. That when you open, you like pick it up and kind of squeeze it to like spread the tines a bit. You can hear mechanical gears start whirring inside. You ask them for specifics on these.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So essentially, the one with the gnomish writing on it, they tell you is called an autonomish repair gizmo. Whether or not that's the actual name of it, you're not fully sure, but essentially, you can set it to working and it casts the mending cantrip on your ship.
I've heard everything I need to hear. Hop in that and the centipede.
The earpiece they call the cochlear adornment. Uh, it allows you to understand the literal meaning of spoken language that you hear for 10 minutes at a time. But it's the literal meaning.
Hmm. So it wouldn't like idiom slang.
Yes. There would
Gotcha.
be some failure of translation that magic would help with that is not being able to fully be handled by this device. The centipede is called the cybernetic spine. It can be affixed to a person's back for 1 hour. During this time period, it doubles your carrying capacity.
Mm.
And you can grapple creatures 2 sizes larger than yourself. However, it does do 7 damage to you when it is attached, that you cannot mitigate,
Mm.
because it does
Can you
pierce into your back.
can you heal it after the fact?
Yes, but it is 7
Okay.
damage.
Okay. Yep.
And then
Oh.
the claw clamp thing, they say is a scrambler. And there seems to be some debate back and forth between them of like Is it supposed to be something else? Is it supposed to have something more toward it? Like, is there a better name? Is there a bigger name? You attach it to the base of your neck, and the DNA is a scrambler, kind of DNA scrambler, that gives an alter self spell while you're wearing it.
Alter self, not just disguise self.
Mhm.
For now, Finn is going to get the centipede and the gnome gizmo. And hold up one of the stakes.
You do like a full big steak,
One full bullet stake.
and they look and they stare, and you can see they all are like chittering back and forth to each other. And bread?
Hmm. Finn doesn't actively have bread, so 2 bullet stakes?
You produce another one, and they just immediately grab it. And you can see that between the three of them, they start to shred one of the steaks immediately and start eating it. And Finn, you are still a blah, blah, blah. Hold on, let me reset. My language center just fucked off. So you're watching them eat this. You feel your symbol of Lorelei. Fucking, is that her name? That's not her name.
Cyrillic?
Cyrillic. Yeah, there we go. I was adding extra L's. You feel it start to warm against your skin.
It's like a nice little hug.
And there's a little sensation in the back of your mind. There might be something more for you to do here.
Mm. All right. Let's see here. I will pull out what is it called? I'll pull out my cauldron, my little cauldron, and start cooking. I assume I don't have a ton of ingredients, but I'm sure maybe, some cheap veggies,
Mm-hmm. As
make
you
some soup.
start to cook, the three cream at the stall immediately are like fascinated. And then you very quickly, even before you start to do anything even particularly impressive, while you're still essentially chopping veggies and just dumping them into the pot, you start to get a crowd. More and more three cream coming over and like kind of jostling each other to get closer and closer. And again, you feel that warmth from your symbol. And I think at this point, Finn would be smart enough about this type of stuff. These three cream are starving.
Oh, he he would want to hasten a little bit, but not sacrifice too much of the quality, while also like turning on the like hibachi level of performance.
roll me a performance at advantage.
Okay.
you start to kind of show yourself up a little bit. These 3 Kreen are all fucking around you. You realize there are no more 3 Kreen just loitering on this section. They are all crowding as close as they can to you. Even the ones that were on the dock messing with the ship are like at the very edge of the dock as close as they can to watch. You can even see one on the ship like leaning over the topmost railing, looking in your direction, even though he'd be too far away to see. And you are not bombarded in such a way to be uncomfortable, but there are a bunch of little knocks on your mind as telepathy is initiated. You just hear this chattering in your minds, perhaps just a little overwhelming, because you're not used to being connected to this many telepathic links at one time. But they're being considerate in not forcing their thoughts. It's more of like you're being connected, you're being dropped in the middle of the Discord call, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just already this chatter going on of like, that looks so good, that smells so good. Haven't seen food like this in I don't know how long. Where did this come from? How does he do that? And it's just non-stop. And I will, as you are cooking, and I assume trying to feed as many as you can,
Yes.
I will flag this for you all. Finn, you have discovered one of the key points for the 3 Kreen.
Food. It's
They
a good
are
motivator.
starving. And I will pause Finn's journey here as you're cooking. Tell me what you're cooking. What are you providing these 3 Kreen?
I think just what I imagine Finn has, not having been to the food stalls or anywhere else, is really just like vegetable soup.
They still seem to be more than happy for that. They are eagerly taking whatever you are offering. Some of them even offering up weapons from their own person in exchange.
Oh my gosh. They can have the soup for free, but I wrote down bread, so I will be getting bread at some point.
But you have found a key point there. We'll pause Finn here. Swing the camera back to the rest of the group. Down in the competitors' quarters. You all have had your moment to kind of adjust and realize that you're safe. You've not been like just like teleported into the middle of a void. You're in a room. The room does have a door, but it's a thin one. You can hear other people moving around the hallway beyond, and what you assume other rooms. And you see on one of the walls the tournament bracket. And the Lady Luck entered onto the tournament bracket now. What are y'all doing?
I don't really know what we can do. We have to wait for our fight, right?
You can go poking around in the other competitors' locker rooms or try to chat them up if you want, or you can go towards there's a specific like viewing seating where y'all can watch from ground level what's going on in the arena, so you may not be able to see everything. Or you can fuck off back outside of the blah 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 competitors area because you realize you're the fourth fight as the first fight starts to be
Oh.
announced.
I imagine that Booker would want to get to know the competition, but not let them know that he wants to get to know them. So snooping is high up on his list. Do each of the competitors have their own little assigned seating area?
Yes, so essentially it's a row per team. So there'd be enough seats plus an extra one or two for your team to sit there and watch, and there'd probably be another team like beside you to either side, kind of around the arena.
Okay. Do we know which teams are in the ones beside us?
It would
Or not yet?
be... Let me look here. You would not know until you got there. Got sitting down to like look to either side.
Mm-hmm. Well, Booker is going to snoop into the other locker rooms first. If there's people not in them, hoping for nobody for them to be deserted.
So Booker gets his bearings and immediately turns to walk out to go do something.
Honors. Because I'm taking notes from
Did you say pause, Mandy?
Huh?
Did you say pause?
Oh no, I was trying to get the cat down, but Ori follows Booker.
Button.
Great minds.
Koya.
Well, probably the first thing that Button does is pull out a fresh bit of parchment and their ink pen, and they are going to write a letter.
To?
Their family. This is, if they die, this is prepared. If any of you survive, please send this. Thank you very much. It already has a stamp.
This is prepaid.
Yep. All you gotta do is just drop it in the mailbox. But yeah, no, once they've done that, they've got jack shit to do.
Charlie, is Koya doing anything?
I think we're just gonna chill for now.
We're gonna or go snooping.
So
But Nicoya
Koya's
just chill.
Yeah, they're just gonna sit in the locker room. Unless you want to go write the letter and quote unquote chill in the stands. Yes, no.
I don't know. I feel like Button wouldn't want to leave Koya alone. So either come chill with me, or we gonna chill here together.
The alternative is finding Micken.
Yeah, you can just leave and go wander up.
Oh,
into
let's
the
go.
stadium.
Bet.
Okay, let's go find the boy.
Let's go find the boy.
Oh boy. Okay, so Button and Koya are heading up there, so we will essentially we're gonna come back to you. And Ori is following Booker. Booker, as you and Ori exit into the kind of maze of hallways and locker rooms, and you see that there's directions carved into the wall towards what seems to be a quote-unquote care room of some sort, though you have a suspicion from what Vocath told you that even if that was a healing first aid room of some sort, it probably doesn't function much like that anymore, at least not right now. And as you exit into the hallway, you see a handful of other people kind of wandering between rooms, of a couple of Hadozi and a 3 crane here. You see a large Arctic as you turn a corner, moving from one room into the next, and then the door closing behind it. Are you just wandering until you see an open/empty room, or what are you doing? How are you approaching this?
He's gonna just keep his eyes peeled. Like, I imagine there are I'm imagining that either a cracked door or a door with a little window on it for all of the locker rooms, or maybe not even a door, but it's like a hard right angle, so you can't really see into it as you're just passing by unless you want to poke your head in. But regardless, Booker is going to eye them and try to quickly poke his head in, see if there's anyone in there, or if he can hear obvious noise from it, he won't poke his head in. But he's trying to find one of the locker rooms for the other contestants that is deserted.
And Ori, are you also doing this, or are you just watching Booker as he is being nosy?
Completely following him with her notebook out and writing things down.
There's another one, Booker. And you kind of, as you're walking, you hear some voices in common, some in what you assume to be the languages that Booker, you know that even if you could understand, you would have no chance of speaking, seeming to be of clicks and trills, and what you assume to be 3 crane, and something almost snake-like from a few, and one that has almost whistles and clacks you assume might be Aarakocra. And you just hear this like cacophony of different languages with common kind of interspersed amongst them on occasion. And as you turn one corner and then another, you end up a good 2 or 3 halls away from the locker room that you were sent into, before you finally find one that has no noise, doesn't seem to have anybody talking inside, doesn't seem to have anybody even moving around inside. You kind of poke your head in. There's nobody there. You slowly make your way in. And what are you looking for? What are you doing?
Booker is going to start rifling through their things, looking for like spell components, weapons, armor, journals, any private information he can use to glean information about the competition.
Okay, roll me a flat d20. Let's see which one of these you get.
6.
6. This one, interesting. So you go inside, and at first you're like just thinking, okay, this is another locker room, let me find things, and then you pause and you realize, kind of with this kind of unsteady, almost unbalancing, that this room is probably good 3 times the size of locker room that you and the rest of the crew were teleported into. And when I say 3 times the size, I'm not talking about area, I'm talking about height. The room itself is probably good 20, 25, 30 feet tall.
Oh.
And there's no benches. There's no place to sit at first until you realize that there's just these 2 kind of almost straw beds that are just sat on opposite corners. You realize there's been something large sitting in each of them. Large and heavy. And
Is it? Am I allowed to guess?
you can roll a nature if you'd like more to guess more closely what it might be.
I would like to try. I'm not super good at nature. Can I guide myself?
Let's say nature or survival. You can guide yourself.
I am worse at survival because it is a wisdom skill. But a little bit of guidance goes a long way. That's going to be an 18 total for nature.
You can't place exactly what was in these 2. But you would put your money on some sort of giant kin. And it is only further made clear that it's probably some sort of giant kin when you kind of get a little closer to one of these paddocks and kind of start digging around, and you see tucked into the straw on one of them is a massive rune of some sort carved into a almost obsidian-like stone. Takes honestly heavier than Booker would be able to like lift up just casually. It would take some effort to pick up if he wanted to try and pick it up. And the rune is very clearly in giant.
Ooh, I speak giant. What does it say?
Oh,
I'll read
speak
giant.
Okay.
Mm.
Let's see here. Let me double check this.
And what exactly is the rune carved on?
Like an obsidian-like stone.
Okay.
Is the stone just on the ground? Is it just like...
Yeah, it's tucked
big...
into like it's like you tuck something under a pillow, or tuck something into like the couch cushions or something to like save it and like keep it there.
Ah, yes. A line.
See that the runes. You're pretty sure this is somebody practicing writing, Ori. They're practicing their giant. And you see rather poorly spelled. It takes you a second. You see Thrasher.
In deep shit.
Is Booker's going to use a charge of his spell site? Is the stone magic?
No.
Damn it.
It's just pretty shiny that they're using as a writing tablet.
I'll tuck it back where he found it.
But with your spell site, I'm assuming you use detect magic.
Yes.
You do see that this room seems to be warded. You would assume to keep the inhabitants inside.
Then where are they now?
You don't know.
Is
They
there
should check
a
this, right?
yeah? Is there a bracket in here too?
Yep.
So the bracket, if it's the same one that you posted,
You're not going to after us.
Brutus and Warband, yeah, the one whom I would guess this is. They're not here and they're not fighting, and the room is enchanted to keep them here. So I am perplexed and nervous because that means there are two potentially giant things wandering around unaccounted for.
Or they haven't been bamfed in yet, and we probably should skedaddle.
True. Also that. Then, yeah. Well, if there's nothing else noteworthy in here, Booker will commit to memory this room and what potentially we could expect somewhere down the line, and he's gonna fucking Amscray.
Let's go.
Mandy, roll me a d20.
Mhm.
Just a flat d20. 3. Interesting. Okay. So, I'm assuming you continue to nose around Booker.
Yeah.
Find one other room that when you pause outside the door and listen, doesn't seem to be any noise inside. You slowly push the door open. Inside you see a locker room, not unlike the one that you were initially teleported into. Inside it's empty, just some benches lining the sides of a couple of tables. A little washing up and first aid area off to the side. And you do see somebody has set down some things on one of the tables and left. Are you going pilfering? Hello?
Ori? Is Ori going pilfering or is Booker?
This would be all
Either
you,
or,
you
both.
Captain.
Booker will pilfer.
I'm just taking notes. Would you like me to watch the
Watch the what?
door, the
Sure.
entryway?
And what was it that was made note of? That was worth pilfering?
Oh, I haven't given you
There's a
anything in
bag.
this room yet.
There is a bag on the table.
What's in the bag?
Somebody would like this section.
Do you go over and start poking around on the items on the table? You do see that there's a... What you would pretty quickly assume would be a trunk that has been set beside a table. Not a bag, not a, backpack or even messenger bag, but a full, like, you put that on a train and you move it directly to a hotel room trunk. And on top of the table, you see a stack of square metal sheets with runes carved into them. And a single book closed with a latch and key beside them.
Is this magic?
The plates are. The sheets.
We're gonna swipe those, or at least check them out. We'll look at them first.
So you look over to them, you see that they are carved intricately with runes that seem to be written in a circle, spiraling inward. And this is not a language you know how to speak, but you've seen it before.
Is it
And you
Gith?
realize what this is after a second's consideration. These are Mercane rune plates.
Oh.
An above table. You all have encountered these before. They were
I
used to
fucking-
sabotage.
I fucking knew it.
This is one of the more common ways that Mercanes enchant things. It's not like these themselves are the sabotage plates. This is the Mercane version of like a rune stone. Sheets of metal that have been inscribed.
Can I try to divine what it does?
You kind of look through a couple of them. There's probably a good 20 or so stacked up. Each on a plate that's thin enough that though it doesn't bend or break, it's only a little thicker than paper. And they seem to be all with different runes on them, different patterns. None of them seem to match. You recognize that a few of them have some sort of summoning magic. A few of them have some sort of evocation. There's even one that seems to have, you would think, maybe healing? Maybe necromancy, you're not sure.
Huh. I'm thinking. Booker's gonna look over his shoulder. No one's coming in, right? It's just him and Ori?
At the moment, in the room, yes.
How many plates are there?
About 20 or so.
Can I fit a couple into my bag without it being obvious that I'm walking around with 20 metal plates in my bag?
Because of how large they are, like square-wise, not thickness-wise, but square-wise, probably only could fit 2, maybe 3. Before it starts being very clear you're carrying something of a very specific square dimension.
Okay. I'll grab 3 of them. I'll grab one that is potentially healing or necrotic, or necromantic. What other ones are there? Is there one for like every school of magic?
Let me pull up the schools of magic to double check. No. You do not see any that are illusion, enchantment, or divination. There's some for all the rest of them.
We'll grab evocation. We'll grab whichever one was the healing, potentially healing, or potentially necromancy one. And we'll grab enchantment is not there.
No. So you have abjuration, evocation,
Then-
transmutation, necromancy, and conjuration.
We'll grab transmutate or abjuration.
Okay, I'll make note of that.
So it was the healing / necromancy, abjuration, and what else?
Evocation.
Evocation. Oh boy.
Okay.
This might be.
Then he'll stuff those into his bag. And Booker will spin around on his heel and look at Ori and be like, we gotta fucking leave.
Agreed. Following you now.
Booker's gonna hustle to the exit. And stealthily get away.
You do, as you are exiting the door and heading down the hallway. I assume with the, like, totally not running but trying to move here with a very specific purpose and speed down the hallway.
Fast walking.
As you turn the corner, you, like, look back over your shoulder the other direction. And you see a mercane walking down the hallway, kind of hunched over. Head bent so that it's not hitting the ceiling. Heading in your direction, not paying you any mind. It's not Vokath, but another mercane.
Don't worry about that. Everything's fine.
And as the two of you are escaping, we'll shift to Button and Koya. You two left the locker rooms, assumed to head out into the larger arena with the specific goal of find Micken?
Yeah.
This is a crowded joint. And I will say, I am going to...
Fuck. I'm short.
We're just gonna stick you guys in here for right now. Shadowed room.
It's so dark.
Yeah.
It's dork.
DM, do we get bonus points to finding people if Button sits on Koya's shoulders?
It's like carrying a kettlebell.
One of you roll me a d6.
Charlie can do the honors.
Y'all pop out here. And you realize, after you kind of blink and kind of look around for a second, like, what's going on, where are we? That you're on the side of the stadium that the Lady Luck is in general, not near it. You see in front of you just very sparsely populated dock and stretch of walkway and shop that seems to have nothing but Aarakocra walking back and forth, and they all look at you. Well, mind you, Aarakocra max out at like 4.5 feet. So Koya is fucking huge. And they
I'm
kind
in
of
my
look
tiny form.
confused. Even in your tiny form, you're still like fucking like over 6 feet tall. And they don't seem to react negatively. It's more like curious, like, what the fuck?
What are those?
And you see, much like what Finn has encountered on the other sides of the stadium, it's one or two little stalls, little blankets that have been set out, people selling a few things that came on the ship. You see, two official stalls tucked under the stands into the arena itself. One that seems to have food and potions, and the other that seems to be selling magic items. And alongside the dock here, you see a ship. This one is a old Shrike ship. You can tell that it's seen long use. Probably more replaced boards and pieces than original at this point. And written in very fine golden letters on one side is the name Skyra. What are y'all doing?
Well, I don't see a Micken.
Nope.
But there are some pretty cool fucking birds.
Yup.
Charlie, do you want to talk to birds? Or do you want to go straight looking for Micken and Finn?
Well, first, Koya is picking up Button,
Okay.
like a dad and child at Disneyland. On top of the shoulders you go.
I just want to say you're not picking up Button, you're deadlifting Button, and then like chest pressing Button above your head. It is a workout.
Button is 50 pounds.
I'm strong as fuck, boy.
Yeah.
This is like an actual workout. This is lifting. This is a good lift for you. Get
This
the
is
pump
lightweight.
going.
It's a warm up. I imagine at this point, between like Trixie and just Button does not expect to be picking up, but they are used to it. It's like okay, let's start walking. Their foot does not meet the ground. What? Oh, I see. Where am I now? Huh. This might as well happen.
Showing my Button places he has not seen before.
Oh my god. Toad too, then. But I mean, well, it's Disneyland time. You just like a pat on the head from Button.
Don't suppose you could see the boy from up there?
You're raised into the air. You do not see Micken. You do see
Nope.
the tail end of the Lady Luck at a far off.
Button shakes their head, and then they realize, oh, they can't see me. I am behind them. It's like, no, I do not. However, there are many other people here.
Koya will walk them up to the first Aarakocra they see.
Stack.
Button's still following the rules. They're not alone. Right?
Mm-hmm.
This falls in line with Booker's rules.
And the first Aarakocra that you come across, every single one of these Aarakocra seem to be wearing very lightweight, very flowing material. They don't seem to have any heavy-duty sailing gear, or most of them don't even seem to have armor, though there are a few that their legs and their talons seem to be armored. But their upper half, it's just lightweight and breezy, you would imagine. And as you kind of like scan across, you don't see a single sword or knife as far as you can tell, beyond perhaps the occasional like pocket utility knife. You do see every single Aarakocra with some sort of bow or crossbow or otherwise ranged weapon, and a better half of them with polearms. And as you step up, Koya, to the first one that's just kind of standing there, seems to be kind of mulling over, staring at the food stall in front of him, but not in line, just like doing that like stare at the menu. What do I want? Do I really want something right now? I could get something. And you step up and he kind of like turns his head. You see him turn his head. He's staring like directly at Koya's chest. And there's kind of this like clack of the beak. And slowly, rather than looking upward, a tilt of the head sideways so that an eye is staring directly up at you, Koya. And there's just this kind of consideration for a moment. And then you just get this very plain, very simple, "You're big."
I'm actually pretty tiny where I come from. I don't suppose you might have seen a nervous-looking lad, dark hair, kind of pale.
And there's just this eye still staring up at you, and you get this one single blink. And then a slow shake of the head. I don't think so. Only Aarakocras and Arctics here.
Oh.
Nope. Stay in your spot where you... I put you in the darkness for a reason.
When we came out of the room, did it feel like it was a random exit?
Essentially, there was two exits. One on this side, one on the other side.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Mm.
There's a little tap on top of Koya's head.
What's up?
Now, Button, I guess this is their attempt at a whisper. I'm not sure how successful it is. They will attempt to lower their voice a bit, because Koya's ear's right there. Should we try to find him, or do we talk? I would like to ask questions.
Ask Koi. And Koi will take this as a sign to put Button down.
It's like, yes, my independence, but also, god damn it, I was so tall.
You watch as the Aarakocra spots Button come up over your head. And that same eye that was staring up at you follows Button all the way down to the ground.
Step aside.
You're small.
Yes. And you are bigger than me, but smaller than them.
You just see like a shake of the wings and a couple of feathers kind of fall out and drift slowly to the ground. And kind of looks between the two of you for a moment. Takes a few steps back so that he can see more properly both of you at the same time. I don't think I've seen either of your kinds before.
Bun shakes their head. Probably not. I am a type of gnome.
Technically a giant, but well, I would hope you wouldn't have seen my kind before.
Mhm, mhm.
Mhm.
Nod.
Aarakocra just kind of like blinks at that. You're not a giant. You're too small to be a giant.
I told you I was small.
When both hands gesturing towards Koya, they can grow even bigger.
It's hard to read the expression on this Aarakocra, but you're pretty sure you're seeing doubt.
That's a party trick I'll save for later. Mm.
I have questions. May I ask?
Okay.
I'll pull a little pad of paper. Hello. I am Button. What is your name?
And there's another kind of pause as he's watching every time one of you does anything that's even remotely interesting, you get a head turn, full focus of at least one eye, and just a careful consideration of what you're doing before any response comes. You're not quite sure if it is just a habit of this Aarakocra or if this is caution or confusion, but it's a strong reaction each and every time. And he kind of shakes his head slightly. You can't pronounce my name. Not if you're gnome. But common tongue can call me Cass.
Hello. My next question. Will you be in the arena today?
Yet kind of a almost cawing, coughing, what you realize is a laugh. And he shakes his head, waves a hand in front of him. No, I man the sails and the lines and the ropes. I don't fight unless I have to.
Mud nods, writes this down. If I remember correctly, that's also what Button's job is, right?
Hmm?
Would that be the equivalent of Button being the bosun?
Kinda.
Yeah. There's a nod. Ah, yes. I also do that. But I also fight some.
Does that mean you're in the arena?
Yes.
And then you see the gaze shift back towards Koya. And the not giant.
Yeah.
You get another very short, kind of cawing laugh. Well, I hope you really can grow big then.
You think I'll need it?
And there's just a nod. And like kind of quirk at the side of the beak that you assume was a smile or a smirk of some sort.
May we know why it will be needed?
Yeah, it's just the two of you.
Hmm. Undecided thus far.
Well, you do know most of the groups have more than two. Some, well, you are small compared to them, not giant.
Rub the back of their head. And they're pretty scary folks, then I'm assuming. Is there a fan favorite kind of tactic that they, well, what should I be watching out for?
You're asking for advice from this Aarakocra that you've just met. Roll me persuasion. Roll
Okay,
20
Miss
HP,
Scott.
Charles.
Yes, I understand that. I would like to use my inspiration, please. Just one. A little bit.
Okay, you get when you roll with inspiration, you get it at advantage.
So let me change my settings here.
For
Oh, did
context,
Charlie roll
that's-
already?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
accidentally
Oh.
rolled to me in private. They rolled a 9 total.
Ah. I would help, but Button has a -1.
Hold. Don't I have a thing for this? Joseph.
I feel like normally your thing is to let someone else do the talking.
Was there a samurai thing? I think is what they're
No,
asking.
yes.
Oh.
I do have a thing for this.
Oh, you do. Samurai actually have a thing where they get a bonus whenever they're talking to someone who's a warrior.
A warrior? Huh?
Isn't it like when you're talking about warfare or fighting or something, or you're talking to someone who is also a warrior?
I mean, I think this would qualify for talking about warfare and fighting.
Yeah, this would qualify for that.
Again with the GM stuff. What is going on here?
Starting at whenever you make persuasion check, gain a bonus to your check equal to your wisdom modifier. So let me see. Let me look at your sheet really fast.
That was one of the samurai abilities that I never fucking got to use.
It's so specific.
It's very
I-
cool, but boy, is it specific.
I just changed the toggle.
Advantage total, never whisper rolls, don't auto roll damage. Okay. Back this one. Advantage. I'm going to roll it off of your sheet and see. Should be able to roll.
Okay. Now, when I'm rolling with the inspiration, is that just one straight roll, or is this one with advantage?
It's it with
It's with
advantage.
Gotcha, gotcha.
See, you stole their nat 20.
I'll give them. They get another plus 2 on top of this, so it's 18. So I'll give them an extra little bit because the 20 that I rolled because I did steal it. So you're asking what to look out for, right?
Like a specific fan favorite that gets busted out for the show.
And there's kind of a moment where you can see Cass like processing, considering what they want to say before they just kind of swing out their arms wide. Night, Mandy.
Good night, Mandy.
Good night,
We'll be
Mandy.
wrapping up soon
Night,
anyway, so
Mandy.
you're not gonna miss much. You see their arms kind of swing out wide, and as they gesture this broadly, their wings also stretch out a little bit. Oh, everybody likes the queen. Everybody likes the winner. If I were a betting man, imagine some of Vocath's pets and favorites. Well, Grella and Ovar are going to cause problems for them. But I would truly like the Screech to make it. It's been a long time since an Aarakocra took the title. What'd you say, Charlie?
Oh, it goes Kira. What were the names again?
So she mentioned the queen being a favorite because the winner.
Mm-hmm.
Said that Greta and Olvar were going to cause problems for Vocath's favorites and pets. And said the Screech implied that the Screech was a person or a group that are Aarakocra.
Okay. Cool. And Grella and Olvar are some of the independent people that aren't associated with groups, right?
Yes. They're
Okay.
separate from the factions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, writing all this down. This is information.
Oh, I looked the button. That first group we're up against. Wasn't that Alvar?
nod.
Maybe we should get back to the others.
There's a pause. And then another nod. Just one final question. Hello, Cass.
The eye has turned back downwards.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult do you believe fighting Olvar will be?
Wait, above table. I want you to use a scale from 1 to 20 for no reason whatsoever. Haha.
Button's a bit odd. Fuck it, why not? From 1 to 20.
Funny, haha. Let me look at their CRs. I'm gonna give you a number.
Oh, I'm about to shit myself, aren't I?
Yup.
Yeah.
Because y'all have a collective CR of 8 right now. Let me...
In the meanwhile, Koi is gonna pat down her pockets and attempt to look for some coin and realize everything was given to Booker.
What's that? So the Aarakocra like considers this on a scale of 1 to 10. Well, depends on what Olvar does. He's in a good mood. Well, 5 or 6. He's in a bad mood. Wants to make a point, which I think he does. Probably an 11. Above table, the collective CR average is a 10.
Oh shit.
Well, write your wills. Just thinks for a second. Writes this down. I have a follow-up question.
Still have this bird eye staring at you.
Ow, fuck. Sorry,
That's not a question.
little... Found a little splinter underneath my desk. Okay, it didn't break scale. Just poked. What is Olvar? Is it a group or is it a person?
And there's, again, kind of a shifting, and there's kind of a shrug at first. Human. Mage. Dabbles in magic even Bocath doesn't like.
Oh,
We appreciate your help.
Cass kind of like looks towards you. There's a blink. You realize you don't think he was realizing he was helping anybody. He was just answering some weird questions.
There's a nod.
Just kind of a wave towards both you. I'll see if you make it through the other side. And without really any further prompting, you can almost see a light bulb flicker on above his head. He turns very quickly towards the food stand and points at it. I just figured out what I want.
Small clap from Button.
And he starts walking towards the food stand.
Button's gonna turn to Koya and look straight up. I believe that death is probable in our situation currently. I have prepared a letter in case I were to fall.
Funny you should say that. I wanted to speak to Micken for the same things.
There's a nod. I have paper, if you would like to borrow some, and an ink pen that you must not break.
And what I'm gonna say, and I'm assuming walk and talk,
Mm-hmm.
stays between you and me.
Nod.
I might be able to read, but I don't know how to write.
Is it for all languages or only a few?
I mean, I can write Oni, but it's not something you write, if that makes sense.
No. But it is interesting. I can write it for you.
I'd appreciate that.
Nod. Button takes out pen and paper. And then they think for a second. They're like, wait. If I write and I walk, that might lead to disaster. Trixie has the leash. Looking up at Koya. They don't... They think for a second, it's like, what? The most logical way to go about this? And I feel like Button is slowly learning what having a sense of pride is and losing it. Like in one fell swoop. As they just look up at Koya. And there's like a slight slump to their shoulders. As they let out a breath that they don't even need. I can write it for you. It would be most efficient if I were to be on your shoulders again.
Yeah, not to worry. Just let me know if I'm going too fast.
That will not be a problem. Uppies. As Button fucking will, to the best of their ability, write out Koya's last words in will and testament. While they go and try and find Micken.
So you guys continue around. I'm assuming, are you going around or are you going to try through the other exit?
I thought we were joining the others to relay what we just learned.
Oh yeah, I mean we're gonna see them anyway, right?
Are we pressed for time?
Yeah, are we pressed for time, DM?
You have 3 fights beforehand.
That was already one fight. Mm.
Is that enough time to go give Mick letters and then find the group?
I'd rather talk to the group first, and
Okie doke.
yeah.
Yeah, fine with me. Either way, while we're walking, Button will write down everything Koya says.
Okay. So we'll pause it here for tonight. We can start next session with the information download. Maybe 1 or 2 other things, but expect next session to be a large section of combat.
Mm-hmm.
And once the combat is over, we will turn back towards Finn. So, Cody, you know when Finn's going to come back in.
Beautiful. This was so much fun.
And congratulations, Cody. I was not expecting you to that quickly find one of the key components. But
Let's
you
go,
Hey,
Finn!
when the Three Queen asked, "What are you?" What do you think I'm gonna come back with? Halfling?
If you wanna pick it, pick it.